Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Coder. I'm Chris, and today we're going to continue where we left off with our Pac-Man clone. We are on part 6 now, and this part, although is entitled Portals, we are first going to have to deal with one quick thing before we jump into Portals, and we really don't have to, but it's part of Pac-Man gameplay, so we might want to go ahead and add that in. So I'm going to go ahead and play the game as we left it in part 5. And Pac-Man, let's see here, we have an issue. And maybe I didn't save my scene. Pac-Man, yeah, I don't have an idle sprite. Alright, so let me fix that. Set my idle sprite. Alright, so let's play the game. So Pac-Man stops where he's supposed to at the walls, and we can tell him where to move next, which is great. But when I move to the right here, I'm not able to reverse until I actually get to the next intersection, because Pac-Man only is aware of a target node and a previous node, okay? So there's really nothing in between, and there's nothing that gets checked in between unless the node that we're on is an intersection. So what we need to do is we need to change it so that when we press the opposite button of the direction that Pac-Man's going in, so if Pac-Man's going to the left, then we press right. Okay, so first off, if Pac-Man's going to the left, then we know the opposite button press would be right. If Pac-Man's going up, the opposite button press would be down. Same thing as if we were going left, or if we're going right, the opposite would be left, and down, the opposite would be up, right? So we know those two things. So as Pac-Man travels, we can check to see if someone's pressing the opposite button. And if they are, then really all we have to do is change Pac-Man's target node to his previous node and set his previous node to his target node, right? Because we want him to go back in the direction from where he came. So, to do that, let's jump into the code. So we're going to open up the Pac-Man script. So let's double click on that. And from here, we're going to go into the move method, okay? And right here, before we get to overshot target, and after if target doesn't equal, or target node doesn't equal current node and target node doesn't equal null. Okay, so right here, I'm going to make a couple spaces. And what we're going to do is we're going to say if next direction, because next direction is the variable that gets assigned when the user presses a key. So like if we're pressing right, then the next direction will be right. If we're pressing up, the next direction will be up, and so on. So we're going to check to see if that next direction equals our current direction times -1. So why am I timesing our current direction by -1? Well, our current direction is a vector 2, and if we multiply a vector 2 by a -1, basically what we're doing is we're changing the signs inside the vector 2. So we've got a vector 2, let's say, of x equals 1, y equals 0. That means that we're moving right. So the opposite direction of that would be x equals -1, y equals 0. So we're checking to see if the next direction, which was the button press, is equal to -1, 0, if those were in fact our coordinates. And we do that by multiplying our current direction by -1. And if it is equal to, then we know that we want to move the opposite way, so we're actually going to set our direction times equals -1, okay? So that's how we multiply our direction by -1 to set it equal to the opposite of what it is. So if we're going up, we're going to be going down. If we're going down, we're going to be going up. Left, we're going to be going right. Right, we're going to be going left. So the next thing we have to do is we have to assign Pac-Man's target node to be the previous node and assign the previous node to be the target node. How can we do that? If we set the target node to be the previous node, we can no longer set the previous node to be the target node because the target node is going to equal the previous node. So what we need is like an interim node, right? We need to have a node that we can use to save one of the nodes. So we're going to make a node, and we're going to call it temp node. And let's just set that one equal to target node. Right? So now we've got target node stored in temp node. So now we can set target node to something else. We can set target node to previous node. And then all we have to do is set our previous node equal to temp node. Save that, okay? And let's go back into Unity. We'll press play. And now for the full effect, let me just go down here to the bottom. Now I can go here and I can stop midway and I can turn around and go the opposite way. Okay, no matter whether I'm at a target node or not. And once I get to a target node, I stop just like I'm supposed to. Alright? So now we can reverse Pac-Man's direction no matter where he's at. Whether he's on an actual intersection or not, we can make him go the opposite way. Alright? So, with that out of the way, we're going to start with the portals. And the portals are going to actually be right here and right here. They're both going to be sending portals and receiving portals. So this portal will be the sending portal for this receiving portal, and this portal will be the sending portal for this receiving portal. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our tile script. And right now our tile script is empty. And we need to add some properties, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to add a Boolean value that we're going to make public so we can access it in the inspector. And then we're going to name this variable is portal, okay? And then the other one we're going to create is a game object, and that is going to be called portal receiver. Okay? So public bool is portal. That's going to give us a property that we can use as we can either check it or uncheck it to say whether or not something is a portal. And then this one is going to hold the game object that is going to be the receiver of the portal that is going to be the sending portal. All right, so let's go back really quick into Unity and check this out. What we're going to do is we're going to steal this guy. All right, we're going to duplicate that. And then we're going to move it holding down V. Actually, let's select transform. And we're going to hold down V to do vertex snapping. And then we're going to just drag this all the way to the end. Okay? Now, once we get to this part, actually, let's go ahead and let's remove, no, we'll need the node. Okay, so we'll do the same thing here. Let's see here. Let's duplicate it again, and then we're going to move it all the way over here. And we're going to add the tile class to both of these. All right, so let's do this. Tile and tile. So we're going to mark is portal. I'm going to check those. And the game object, the portal receiver for this one is going to be this one. So this one is pellet 129. So we're going to go back over here, click this, and oh, we're going to have to do it this way. We're just going to have to drag it, pellet 129 into here. And this is pellet 128. So we're going to click on this one and drag pellet 128 from over here into the inspector onto the portal receiver property. All right. So you may realize now that these actually look like food items, and in the game, when we press play, they're going to show up as food items. Well, we don't necessarily want that because there really aren't any pellets supposed to be in this area, right? So in order to get rid of these pellets, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to assign icons to them. So I'm just going to pick this green diamond from up here. And I'm going to go to the other one and assign green diamond. Alright. So now these are green diamonds, and these are just icons that we can reference in the scene view. They don't show up in the game view. They just allow us to see something in the scene view. Alright, let me just zoom in here a little bit. Okay, so we've got this one. And now if we click play, we still only see the pellets. We don't see the icons, see? So we don't want to see these pellets. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to disable the sprite renderer, because the sprite renderer is responsible for drawing that graphic onto the screen. So now if we go to the other one, you'll see that our icon is still there. And we're going to uncheck the sprite renderer here as well. So we've got both of these, we've got icons so we can actually click on them. Now note that if we didn't have these icons, then we wouldn't see anything in our scene view, and we would have to find them and click on them while they're invisible, which would make it a little harder. Not impossible, but definitely harder. So now when we press play, we don't have any pellets in our portal ways right here, okay? So now that we've got our portal set up, we need to also set the, they're also intersections, okay? So to get to this portal, we have to tell this intersection here that there's another neighbor that it can go to, which is right over here, okay? So if we'll look in here, we've got these two right now, which are probably incorrect. But this intersection has, actually no, that is right. We've got this one and this one. So this intersection is going to have 3 neighbors now. So we're just going to change this to a 3, and it's going to duplicate the last one we had down here. We know that this is pellet 129, so let's just go back on this one, and we're going to make this last one here pellet 129. Okay. And this one is not going to actually allow, well, yeah, we should make a neighbor. We should add a neighbor to this one, okay? So we're going to remove, this one's only going to have one neighbor. So we're going to remove that one neighbor, and we're going to set its neighbor to this pellet. So we're going to have pellet 146 as a neighbor. So we're going to go over here, change this to pellet 146. Alright, so now that's its neighbor. Alright, so now we're just going to go ahead and do the same thing over here. Oops. Let's first change this to one neighbor. And the pellet is going to be pellet 127. So we're going to go ahead and click that and go to pellet 127. Oops. That's the portal receiver. This is the neighbor, pellet 127. Alright, now this pellet we're going to have to add one to. Make that 3. This is pellet 128, so let's go back to the intersecting pellet. Change 133 to pellet 128. Alright, so now without actually making any code modifications, we should be able to play. We should be able to go up, and then when we hit this, we should be able to go left, and we should stop right there. Okay. Same thing on the other side. We should be able to go over here. Should be able to go up and right, and we should stop here, and we should be able to go back to this one. Okay. And notice that we can't go in here yet in this area because we haven't set any intersecting pellets in here yet. And that's because I didn't want to show you guys how to do the invisible pellets with the icons until we actually got to the portals. So we're actually going to be doing these next after we get the portals to work. To get the portals to work, we actually have to do some coding now, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back into our Pac-Man script, and we're going to create a new method. I'm going to just create it down here at the very bottom. So it's going to be of type GameObject is what it's going to return. And we're going to call it getPortal. And we're going to pass in vector2, and we're going to call it position. So this method is going to be used to actually check to see if the current node that we're on is a portal. Okay, so the way we're going to do that is we're going to create a game object. I'm going to call it tile, and we're going to do GameObject.find game.getComponent, the game board, and that's the array. So we're going to do int x, position x, and int position.y. Okay, so that's going to get us our tile, and then we have to make sure that the tile doesn't equal null. And if the tile doesn't equal null, we have to check if it actually is a portal. So we're going to do if tile getComponent tile is portal. Okay, so we're going to check to see if it's a portal. And if it is, then we're going to set the other portal equal to tile getComponent tile portal receiver. Okay, and then we're going to return other portal. Otherwise, over here, right about here, we're going to return null. Okay, so we're going to be calling this method, and every time we call this method, we're going to check to see, we're going to get the tile of the current position. If the tile doesn't equal null, we're going to get the tile component of that tile, which is the game object. Now that I'm thinking of it, we probably want to make sure that it actually has a tiling component. So we can do this. If tile.getComponent tile doesn't equal null. Okay. So we check to see if the game object at the position in that array has a tile component. If it does, then we check to see if it's a portal. If it is, then we create a game object and we store the game object that's stored at our portal receiver property, and we return that. Okay, so this returns a game object of the other portal. So we are going to actually call this method in our move method. So let's go ahead and go up to there, and it's going to be in the overshot target. All right, and where do we put this? Okay, right after we set Pac-Man's position, let's put it here, and we're going to do game object other portal equals get portal current node transform local position position. So not the local position, of course, because we're working with our nodes that are inside of empties, so the local position is going to be off from our global positioning that we're using for the Pac-Man game. So we have to make sure that other portal isn't null, because remember, our get portal can return null if the tile that it's on isn't a tile and it doesn't have if it's not actually specified as a portal. Okay, so if it isn't null, then we want to set the local position of Pac-Man equal to the other portal position. Okay, so yeah, so if the other portal isn't null, then all we got to do is we got to set Pac-Man's current position, okay, his local position, equal to the position of the other portal. Okay, that would be the receiving portal's position, right? And then finally what we need to do is we need to set the current node for Pac-Man equal to the other node, or so the other portal get component node, okay? Because that will be Pac-Man's new node. All right, so let's go ahead and see what that looks like. I think we may have an issue, but let's check it out. And we're good. It works just like we wanted it to. Look at that. Pac-Man can now go from one screen to the other. Well, from the left side to the right, from the right side to the left. Pac-Man does exactly what he's supposed to. Which is awesome. So we are just that much closer to finishing up our Pac-Man game. So, let's do the not so fun stuff, because we've already got the coding all out of the way. So the only thing left to do is to make it so Pac-Man can actually go around on the inside around where the ghosts are going to be, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to just duplicate a few of these. Alright, so we're going to duplicate this one. We're going to put it here, because this is an intersection that can go either this way or that way. Duplicate, set this one here, duplicate, put this one, yeah, that one would need to go there, 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 here, here, and here. Okay. So, since these are all going to be invisible, let's go ahead and set up icons for all of these, and I'm just going to make those red to not confuse them with the portals. Let's see if... Nope, we can't set multiples. Alright, so we're going to have to do these one at a time. It probably would have been better to duplicate one and then set up the icon and then duplicate the rest. Probably would have been much faster. But it's okay. I'm going to fast forward through this. Alright, here we go. We've got all of them set up as icons. So now what we gotta do is we actually need to, well, we gotta do a couple of things. First we have to disable the sprite renderers on all of them. And it looks like we can select multiples. So let's just go ahead and select all of these. And then we disable the sprite renderer. Okay, just like that. Alright, so now to just see if that worked, let's press play, make sure we don't see them. Okay, they're gone. Alright, so here we go again. I am going to walk you through one of these, and then I'm going to just, you know, blaze through the rest of them and just do them kind of in a faster speed, so you don't have to watch me do this painfully slow process. Alright, so first, this one, okay, we've got two neighbors right now, which is this one and this one. So we're going to add a third neighbor, which is going to be this one right here. So we're on this pellet. We need to add a third neighbor, so we change our array size to 3, which duplicated element 1 to element 2, right? So now we've got pellet 188 twice, but we actually need to assign pellet 192. So let's go back to this pellet here, and let's assign pellet 192. And the cool thing about the icons is it highlights them in here too, so it makes them easy to find. So we'll do 192. All right. So then pellet 192 has neighbors that go here and here. All right. So I'm going to speed through the rest of this. All right. So we've got all right. Okay. So now that is done finally. Let's go ahead and play and see how it works. So we should be able to go up, up, and up. No, I can't go up. Can't go up from here. Oh, we forgot to do these guys because they only have 2. All right, so we'll make that 3. And it needs to add 203. We'll add 203. And on this one, also needs to be 3. And we'll add 202. Alright, so here, 202. So, as a troubleshooting tip, if you're trying to get to the next node and Pac-Man isn't going where you're thinking he should go, then check the node. So like let's say you get here and Pac-Man isn't going up like he's supposed to. Then you just need to go in and check this node and make sure that the right neighbors are specified. In this case, it should be this one has a neighbor, that one has a neighbor, and this one has a neighbor, okay? So just a little tip, because I know that sometimes you can forget, like I just did, to actually set some neighbors up for certain pellets, and then it will, you know, make things just not work. So there's a good troubleshooting tip for you. So let's play. So we're gonna go up and left and right and back and up and left and right and up and right and up, left, up, down. Okay, looks like we are good. Yep. Just about done testing all of these. Seems to be moving along quite well. And let's check out the portal. You should keep going all the way to the ghost house. There we go, and we stop. Alright. So, that is what I would call the end of Part 6's tutorial. So, in the next tutorial, let's see what I've got lined up for you guys next. Let's see here. Part 7. Yep. Part 7 is about consuming pellets for points. So that is going to actually make the game a little more fun, because then you actually get to see something happening. And while we're at it, we're also going to make it so that Pac-Man doesn't appear to be behind the pellets, because that just makes for ugly gameplay. So we're going to change his Z-index, which we literally could do right now, but I'm going to just call this the end of the tutorial. We'll add that into the next part. So yeah, that's it. If you guys like the video, give me a thumbs up. Comments go down below. Don't forget to subscribe. Oh, and if you get a chance, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Those sites, they get updated when I release new videos. If you subscribe, also don't forget to actually click on the bell so that you get notifications in your email for new videos coming up. And if you get a minute, check out my Patreon page. I've actually added some goals and things there so that you guys can see what I'm working on and what I've got planned for the future for the channel. And again, thanks everybody for supporting me and being a subscriber. It really, really means a lot to me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys at the next tutorial next week. All right. Oh, and don't forget to swing by Wednesday for the Pong tutorial. We're going to be in the next part of that. So fun stuff coming up. See you guys soon.